So for this pattern, I'm using a 3-color fade. Now I'm using a slub sock base, but as long as you meet gauge, it doesn't matter if the yarn you use is slub or not. I'm using this 3-color fade made by Haley Bailey in the colors Juniper, Archer, and Amanita. Now I'm going to be working this fade from the light green all the way down to the orange, but there isn't a wrong way to do this. What my recommendation is pick the color that you want closer to your face and go ahead and start with that. So for this pattern, you'll also need two 5.5mm Tunisian crochet hooks, as well as a cable to connect them. Now I'm going to be using the turquoise hook for my forward pass and the bamboo hook for my return pass, as you'll see in the video. We'll also be using a 4.5mm traditional crochet hook to help with the top and bottom borders. And then lastly, it's really going to be important to have stitch markers. You will 100% need these in order to do your increases and decreases. For the size 2, I went ahead and made a chain of 80. Added the first loop on to my hook and made sure that this is very straight. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and pull through this stitch into the first one, and then that's going to be the first live loop on my hook. And as we go, we will be putting a stitch marker on there to make sure that we have kept track of that first stitch. We also have our little tag right here that'll help. So I'm going to go ahead and start picking up a loop in the back loop, and it's a little bit harder with the slub, but I'm going to pick up a loop, and then what I'm going to do is show you how I'm also going to do the return pass. So just bear with me as I pick up these loops, and when I'm ready to do the return pass, I'll come and show you the next steps. So I've collected quite a few loops. I'm not quite back to the beginning, and what I'm going to do is I'm now going to show you how we're going to do our return pass. So the green hook here, this turquoise hook, is actually my forward hook, and then the bamboo hook is my reverse hook. So what I'm going to do is I have my reverse hook here, and I have my yarn, and I have one ball. I'm using a center pull for the forward pass, as you can see here. I'm going to use the outside yarn for my return pass. You can alternatively take your yarn and divide it into two, but it's not going to exactly be an even yardage because we're going to be doing different colors as we move. So I like to use the outside just to keep all the yarn together. I'm going to go ahead and just take my yarn and wrap it around there, and let me get a little extra yarn. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a normal return pass just like I would for, just make sure, I think this is crossed over, there we go. Just like I would for standard simple stitch, just yarn over, pull through one, then pull through two, pull through two, pull through two, just like that. And I'm going to keep doing this until I get to the end. Now, I never want to use up all the yarn here. I always want to leave 3 or 4 loops on my hook so that I don't accidentally just finish everything. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working on my return pass. And what I like to do actually is just push all this down here and work this way. So I'm going to keep working on this, and the next step for me is going to be to show you how to do increases. So I'll meet you back for that next step. So I have done a couple more rows, and I just wanted to show you that I put my stitch markers on. So I have stitch marker A right here and stitch marker B here. Stitch marker A is right at the beginning of our rows, and stitch marker B is halfway across. In the beginning part for these 2 stitch markers for the neck, we're going to be doing increases slowly every couple rows because we're making a little bit of a cowl neck to go with this. So as you can see here, we're going to have just these 2 stitch markers, and I'll show you how we're going to do the increases. Now, a little tip that I like to do, I really like to put these little needle covers on my Tunisian hooks, but you can see I don't go all the way down. The reason for that is the hooks, wooden hooks especially, can break really easily. So I'm just going to put these on just a little bit, just partially, and then that way I can make sure that my loops don't slip off when I have my work at rest. I'm going to work a little bit more, and what I'll do is I'll come back and show you how we're going to do our first increase. So I've reached my first stitch marker, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how we're going to do our increases. So I'm in row 3, I'm going to go ahead and pick up like I would for a simple stitch, and then in the next area on the top bar I'm going to just pick up a stitch, and the slub makes it a little bit hard, but you're just looking for that top bar just like that. So now I have increased. I'm going to take my stitch marker off, and I want to go to the stitch that I did the increase on, which is right here, and I'm going to count back 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or sorry, including this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker there. So now that I have that increase, I'm just going to go ahead and continue like I would. And when I get, this is row 3, so when I get over to the lighter color stitch marker, I will also do an increase there. So with this part of the pattern, we're going to be doing an increase on both stitch markers every other row. This is row 3, and I'll do an increase on both stitch markers, and then I'll do that again on row 5. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working on this, and then when we get ready to change how we're doing our increases, I'll meet you back and show you the next step. So I've reached a point where my neck line is enough, and now what I've done is I've taken off those stitch markers and evenly spaced throughout. I've put 3 stitch markers here. So what we were doing before is we were doing slow increase. Now that I've reached a point in my neckline, I'm actually going to go ahead and do an increase in the same technique, but I'm going to do 1 at each stitch marker for every row. So each row will now get 3 increases total. And every time I do an increase, I'm going to go ahead and move the stitch marker back 10. So every row will have an increase in a different area. And it's a little bit harder to see, but you can see I have 1 stitch marker here, I have 1 stitch marker here, and 1 stitch marker here. The slub is making this look a little bit messy, but I think it's going to be worth it in the end once you see the final product. So we're going to work on this for a while, and then what we're going to do is we're basically building out the neck and hoping to get lower where the poncho is going to fall, or the capelet's going to fall over the bust area. And we're going to work on this for a certain time, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start blending in color 2. So I'll meet you back for that. So I'm working on my return pass, and I'm getting to a point where we're going to introduce the color changes. Now the color changes happen on the return pass first, and then they'll happen on the forward pass later. And so the color change happens on the return pass for the first 10 rows, and because we're only going to be doing the color on the return pass, and I'm going to show you right now how we work that in. So it's pretty easy. I'm just going to bring the yarn in front. Here's my old piece of, here's my current color. I'm changing it now actually. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep some end here to weave in later and bring it around my hook. I'm trying to keep the end on the inside here so it'll be easier to weave in. And I'm going to go ahead and instead of pulling through 1, I'm going to pull through 2 because I already had 1 loop on my hook. So I'm just going to go ahead now and work the return pass, and I'm staying with color 2 and adding in color 3. So let me show you what I've been up to. So here you can see we have color 1, then we added in the return pass color 2, then I switched it and color 1 went into the back and color 2 became the return pass. Then it's just a section of color 2, and now I'm adding in color 3. And so what I'm hoping, we'll do 10 rows with color 3 as the return pass, then we'll switch it and do 10 rows of color 2 as the return pass and color 3 as the forward pass, and then it'll be 10 rows of just color 3. And that's basically it. I still have my increases. I'm still working on those. Those are going to continue. Before we're done, I will add a little border here on the top and the bottom, but I will come back and show you that. So I'm going to work on this finish, and I will come back to show you how I do the color change for when I bring color 2 to the back and color 3 to the front. So I'm working here on my return pass, and I'm getting to a point where we're gonna transition which color is in the forward pass and which color is in the return pass. So right now color 2 is in the forward pass and color 3 is in the return pass. And I'm waiting till I have 2 stitches left on my hook. And this is about the least amount of stitches I'll work with when I'm doing this. And what I'm gonna do is, so here I have color 3 for my return pass. And I have color 2. Let me grab this out. It's a little bit tangled. And I have color 2 on the forward pass. And I'm just going to go ahead and reverse them on the inside. So I'm taking color 2 and bringing it here. And what I'm going to do is bring color 3 around. And now I'm going to, and this is the wrong side of my work here. I'm going to go ahead and flip this around. So now I'm on the right side. Take my hook and bring it all the way so that I'm now with my forward pass hook. And here again is color 3. Color 2 is back here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up a stitch in color 3, just like that. And now, as I'm working, color 3 will be in the front and color 2 will be in the return pass. And you can kind of see, again, how I did this earlier, where here in this part that you'll see, color 1 was the forward pass and color 2 was the return pass. And then you can kind of see how it gets more orange in this area. And these are the same colors here, but you have color 2 in the forward pass and color 1 in the return pass. So it brings the colors from color 2 to the front and gives the colors from color 1 a chance to kind of shine in the back. So that's how we do our changes for this part of the pattern when we're dealing with 2 colors. I'm going to do the next set of rows in this with color 3 in the front and color 2 in the back. And then once I get to my set amount of rows, I'm going to go ahead and I will fasten off color 2 and I'll only be dealing with color 3. And then I'll work from the center pull and from the outside. So I'm going to keep working on this. As you can see, it's coming along really nicely in terms of the blending, and I'm really enjoying how the slub is working up. And I'll keep working on this and then I'll show you the next step. So I'm reaching the final return pass of the last color, and I'm going to show you how we're going to transition to the border. So I'm going to go ahead and do my return pass until I have 2 stitches left. I'm going to go ahead and then bring my forward pass hook and flip my work. Get that done. So here I have my forward pass. My forward pass yarn. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pull through that and then pull that tight, and now I've kind of bound off that last one. What we're going to do now is, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to do a slip stitch bind off. So I'm going to go ahead and just yarn over, pull through 2. We're doing going in like a simple stitch, yarning over and pulling through both loops on the hook, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and work this all the way around, and then I'm going to go ahead and do an additional bind off using regular crochet. So I'll finish that up and then I'll come meet you back and show you how we're going to add that final border. So now that we finished our bind off, what we're going to do is go ahead and add a border, and the border is, I'm actually going to skip this one right here and just do another bind off because there's the slub there. What we're going to be doing with the border is we're going to be working into the top part of the pattern. So I'm going to go ahead, yarn over like I would for half double crochet, work just like that, go into where the next stitch is, right there, and work into the border. So I'm going to keep working this around, and I'm going to meet you back when I'm done. I'm going to also add a border to the top, and I'm going to block my capelet, and then I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. One last thing, when you're doing this, it's really important that you don't just get one on the top. You're looking for that top chain, so get two. And if you do one, you're gonna have kind of a really lacy appearance that we don't want. So keep going around, making sure you're getting two in that top bar, and do your half double crochets, then do your half double crochet border on top, choosing whatever color you want, and I will meet you back and show you what it looks like after it's blocked. So here's the final product. You can see I added a little border to the top as well as the border that we talked about at the bottom. That is optional. I really like it because it gives it a nice clean edge and helps prevent that Tunisian curl. You can see here how lovely this fade is working out to be. This pattern has a really nice drape, and we keep that by really making sure that we stay with gauge with this pattern, so you have a really nice loose Tunisian simple stitch, as you can see here. Now, I hope you really enjoyed this pattern. This pattern is available on my website. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and also please do subscribe. Both of those really help to grow my channel. Thanks, and happy crocheting!